Hello, and welcome to the third video in this new Solidworks Composer tutorial series. In the last video, we talked about using the Translate and Exploded View tools to break apart a large assembly and get a sense of how its various pieces come together. If you want to check that video out, or any of the other videos in this series, check the description below for a link to a playlist that contains all episodes of the series. We'll be putting all future episodes in the series as well, as soon as they're uploaded. Today, we're going to be talking about the Digger tool. The Digger has a variety of functions, and we're going to go through each of them, explaining how and why to use them. To start, we need to call the tool. Go into the viewport and press the spacebar to summon the Digger. If the tools around it aren't being displayed, simply click the wrench icon to toggle their appearance. Let's start with the Center of Interest tool. The center of interest is what governs what will be displayed in the Digger window. In this case, our center of interest is marked with a red dot on the shield assembly. By default, the Digger will not have a fixed center of interest. It will simply display whatever lies underneath it. To set your own, click and hold the center of interest button, and drag it onto your new desired center of interest. Let's set it for the left shield assembly. Now we can start walking through the various tools of the Digger. These include the zoom, the cutting plane, the X-ray, and the onion skin. We'll start with the zoom because it's the most straightforward and also the default setting for the Digger. It's a really useful tool for providing close-ups of critical sections of your assembly. You can use the slider to adjust the intensity of the zoom. Moving up zooms in, and moving down zooms out. In general, the slider is used to change the magnitude of the effect of the selected tool. I'm going to reposition our center of interest to better show off the functionality of the next three tools. We'll start with the onion skin, a great way to show the internals of a given assembly. So I'll select the onion skin tool and move the slider all the way down. You'll see that when the slider is at 0%, all the pieces remain completely visible. But as we start to move the slider up, layers of the piece begin to disappear until we get a view of the internals of our assembly. The X-ray functions very similarly, but instead of pieces disappearing, they fade out to give that X-ray look. The functionality is very similar, and your choice between the two comes down to preference. This leaves the cutting plane. As you scale the slider up, this tool will begin to cut into your assembly at an angle determined by your camera orientation. As I increase the slider, you'll begin to get a sense of what this view looks like. Also important to note is that if I change my camera orientation, the cut changes correspondingly. This is the case for each of the tools we've just covered, as you can see here with our onion skin tool. But if we want the depth of our cut to remain static, how do we do it? We click the lock button at the bottom, scroll to our desired depth, and now if we move the camera, the depth remains the same while the view changes. The last two tools are used in creating 2D images. Let's say that we want an internal view of the center of our assembly. By creating a 2D image, we can provide that insight while the assembly remains the same. We'll select the X-ray tool and zoom to our desired depth. If we want to save our image, we hover over the Capture 2D Image button. If we want to see our selection in different lighting, we can click and drag the light button into the Digger window. As we move it around, we can see the piece in different light. I thought the piece was good in its original lighting, so I drag the light outside the Digger window to cancel the operation. So now let's create the image. We click the button, and our view appears as an image in the viewport, with a tail pointing to the relevant portion of the assembly. We can shrink it, move it, and save it in our view. The last important thing to mention is that even if we have created a 2D image, We can still call the digger if we find the need for additional detail. Simply go into the viewport and press spacebar. That's a basic rundown of the digger tool. It's an incredibly useful resource in Composer that can add additional clarity to your deliverables. We hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check the blogs and forums for additional Composer content. Next time, we're going to talk about how to create and use styles to supplement your deliverables. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.